taxpayer dollars on programs that have outlived their usefulness or exist solely because of the power of politicians or interest groups.
They're entitled to be able to figure out where their dollars are going, and they're entitled to accountability to make sure that we're using the dollars for what we said it was for.
We are going to go through our federal budget, as I promised during the campaign, page by page, line by line, eliminating those programs we don't need and insisting that those that we do need operate in a sensible, cost-effective way.
What should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue.
No amount of waste is acceptable, not when it's your money.
We all know the government can be inefficient. We all know that the bureaucracy can be bloated. We all worked in the fucking White House. We tried to reorganize the government. We tried to find efficiency. It's hard to do.
And honestly, some of this is pretty annoying because...
Yeah, exactly. Everybody was on board with this thing until they weren't on board with this thing anymore. So think about that for a second. Think about what changed in the meantime. And here's something else. Did you know that people are living longer than ever before? Did you know that we have people who are living until they are 150, 200 years old? Because now Elon Musk posted on X last night that millions of people listed in the Social Security database are recorded as centenarians with the death field set to false. Quote, according to the Social Security database, these are the numbers of people in each age bucket, with the death field set to false. Maybe Twilight is real, and there are a lot of vampires collecting Social Security. His post featured a chart indicating that there are more than 20 million listed with ages of 100 and higher, including more than 3.9 million in the 130 to 139 age range, more than 3.5 million in the 140 to 149 range, and more than 1.3 million in the 150 to 159 range. Well, now we're getting into biblical ranges. I mean, Adam, what did he live, 900 years or something like that? Noah was about 700. I think it started going down by Abraham's time. But in all seriousness, you remember when you were a kid and you used to grab the Guinness Book of World Records from your classroom? There was always one around somewhere in the school library. Yeah, our books were a lot different than the books in the school libraries now. But the Guinness Book of World Records, you'd always look up. Okay, here's the one that drove me nuts. The people who go, well, they're like 60 years old, but they've only had 4 birthdays because they were born on a leap year or something. I go, that is not Guinness Book of World Records worthy. But you'd always look up the oldest people. And I remember, I think it was 120, maybe 121, maybe 127, somewhere in that range. And there was like one person. But here you've got millions of people who are likely scamming Social Security. While the U.S. population count in the 2020 census, according to Fox News, was more than 331 million, the count of people ages 100 and older was more than 80,000, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. So how do you have millions and millions of people who are collecting Social Security benefits when the census doesn't say there's even that many of them? So right away, as soon as DOGE starts looking into Social Security, what happens? Michelle King, a career federal worker who had been with the Social Security Administration since 1994, quit over the DOGE disagreement because she said she was protecting people's privacy. No, you know what it is? There's going to be some hard questions for the people in charge of Social Security when you say, hey, there are people who are collecting checks who are 150 years old. What are you talking about? So we want to look for waste. We want to find ways to cut waste. Social Security is going to be bankrupt if we don't do anything about that. Shouldn't everybody be on the same page about getting rid of Social Security fraud? Shouldn't that be something we all want to shut down? Well, apparently the Democrats now all of a sudden don't want to fix it. Why? Because Trump's trying to do something about it. Hey, look, guys, we're not raising the retirement age. We're not reducing benefits. Nothing like that. All we're doing is finding out who's defrauding the system. Donald Trump spoke not too long ago about this very issue.
But look at this. From 90 to 99, Social Security, 6,054,000 people. Well, that's okay. Maybe that's possible. 90 to 99, maybe it's possible. It's a lot of people, though, at that. But people that live to 100 to 109, 4,734,000. Wow, that's a lot. That means over 100 years old. They're 4 million people. I don't know too many. I know people that are doing great in their 90s, but not too many people over 100. But over 120, from 120 years old, people that are 120 years old up to 129, 3,472,000 people. Wow. That can't possibly be, because the record is like, I think it's one person, a woman, lived to 127, but they have 3,472. Okay, but now we're going really in. People from 130 years old to 139-year-old, 3,936,000. Wow. I wonder if people are getting paid with all this. I mean, are these checks? And that's what we're checking right now. People from 140 years old to 149 years old, 3,542,000, 140 years old and beyond. Now we're really going, because we're looking to break the record by 25 years. People from 150 years old to 159 years old, 1,345,000. These are by the way, these are in the computer files. This is what they do well. They're super. I asked Elon, who are these Doge people? He said they're super brilliant computer people, and they love the country. It's simple. Wait a minute. People from 160 years old to 169 years, 121,000. So 160-year-old people. 170 to 179,000, 6,087. But now, let's go into the real numbers. From 200 to 209 years old, 879 people. From 210 years old, I haven't met any of them. And if I did, I would bless them. I would worship the ground they walk on. 210 to 219 years, 866. From 220 years old to 229 years old, 1,039. And then you have two people, from 240 years old to 249 years old, one person. And there's one person that's 360 years old. That's just that.
Yeah, he's 100% right to just sigh like that. Because how could you be missing this for decades, literally for decades? Because somebody gets older every single year and nobody's going through the records. Look, you got one person who clocks in at 200 years old. You can go, okay, typo. Somebody entered the info wrong. But when you have millions of people clocking in that high, fraud is going on. And why has nobody caught it? In Judaism, when we wish somebody a happy birthday, we say Ad Mea Ve'esrim, which is until 120, because that's how long Moses lived, right? Moses lived till 120. And I think there's that one Asian woman who lived till 127, which I'm thinking of, which President Trump's thinking of, that person in the Guinness Book of World Records. But aside from that, people living 200 years, this is insane. So why wouldn't people want to get rid of the fraud? Oh, right. Orange Man, bad. Spaceship Man, bad. Tesla Man, bad. Twitter Man, bad. That's all it is. This is pure, unadulterated Trump derangement syndrome and pure partisan politics. Because I'll tell you something. I remember when Obama said he wanted to root out some of the waste. I said, I don't think he's going to do it, but I hope he does. I remember when Joe Biden said he was going to get rid of some of the waste. I said, never going to happen, but I hope he does. We actually have, even before Doge, there are various offices in the U.S. government that are tasked with finding fraud. So the question is, why did they find this? How did none of them find this? And this isn't something that's new. This has been going on for decades, because every year that 150-year-old person turns 151. then 152, then 153. And nobody thought, hey, this might be weird that we're still writing checks to people who may have fought in the Civil War from 200 years ago? Nobody think about that kind of stuff? Maybe they should have given it a little bit of consideration. But then the absolute breakdown on the left about the fact that they're actually cutting all this, yeah, those protests in the streets are absolute garbage. It's pure partisanship, and I wonder which agency is funding those. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we come back, my friends, Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell gave his annual State of the City address, and he thinks everything's fine. Yeah, I think a bunch of you are going to disagree with that. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. So some good news out of Seattle for a change. Donald Trump fired the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Washington, Tessa Gorman. Now, first of all, how can you have drug injection sites around here, which is against federal law, and her not do anything about it? How can you have Antifa be active around here and her not do anything about it? But before you get all excited, this is something that usually happens when administrations change over, except usually it's, well, we'll give you a little time and then you're going to go. I mean, let's not forget, Trump had a different U.S. attorney than Biden did, who had a different U.S. attorney than Trump did, and this is the way the cycle goes.
No, Ari, but the newspaper told me it's a purge.
Yeah,
it's the Trump purge.
They are so delusional. And here's something, Mike, this is interesting. You know, just going back to our last segment for a second.
It's a purge.
Yes. You know what, Mike? I think we should have more fun with this. You know what I think we should do? I think we should just get a bear and I think we should give it a ton of cocaine and just let it loose inside federal buildings one at a time. And whoever the bear eats, that's who we don't need anymore. I mean, there can't be that many completely necessary federal employees, right? Let's just do it cocaine bear style.
A bear did cocaine?
Wait. Hang on. There's a better way to do this. I got an even better way to do this, okay? So Donald Trump, master of the media. Love him, hate him, great at manipulating the media. Let's do a reality show. It'll be Survivor, federal government. That's what it'll be. Wait, he doesn't do the Survivor thing. Oh, wait, Nick Brown, Washington Attorney General, was on Survivor. Let's get him to host it because he sucks at being Attorney General. So let's send him over there to host this. Probably makes better money this way, too. So we'll just send him out there to do that. But in all seriousness, yes, everybody's freaking out about her being fired. This is what always happens. Now, the question is who Donald Trump's going to replace her with. Now you've got the underling out there. But we need somebody who's really going to go after Antifa. We need somebody who's going to go after this insanity around here. You know what I would love? Somebody who looks into where the federal dollars are going to in Seattle. For example, like Homeless Inc. Where's all that going to? And here's something else. So today, Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell gave his annual State of the City address, and that's not what this was at all. This was flat out lies the entire time, or half-truths. Either that or dude is not very bright because he got hit in the head too many times during football at UW. So let's look at what he said for a minute. He said crime is down. Anybody think crime is down around here? Anybody think homelessness is getting better around here anywhere?
How about no?
Thank you, Dr. Evil. I missed you all week, my friend. Yes, no, absolutely it's not. But yet if you ask Bruce Harrell, it is. Now, meanwhile, he's not talking about unreported crimes where people go, it ain't even worth making the phone call to 911 anymore. And I do love this. So they released little pieces of his speech. I listened for about as long as I could. That was about 30 seconds. And I said, no more. I can't. He's not a gifted orator. He's really, really not. He puts me to sleep. And I'm running on 6 hours of sleep in the last 36 hours. So listening to Bruce Harrell give the State of the City address, boring. I read his talking points, though. Ready for this one? For the first time in half a decade, the city hired more police officers than it lost and had 4,300 applications to join SPD. Okay, can we analyze those two lines for 1 second? If you had 4,300 applications to join SPD and we need 700 officers to restaff the thing, how come you only hired 19 new police officers? Oh, you mean you're getting tons of applicants who aren't qualified to have the job? That's not something to brag about, by the way. And then saying you hired more police officers than you lost. Do you know what the net gain was? One. It's amazing how you actually can portray these things based on the facts. Give me a break. This entire thing was him saying, you have to reelect me. Look at the progress we made. I could go line by line through this entire thing, but it's all garbage. Now, of course, he had Trump derangement syndrome as well. Oh, we're going to challenge him, and Nick Brown's going to challenge him, and we're going to sue him to make sure we keep our federal funding because we want to be a sanctuary city. By the way, so disappointed in Ann Davidson while I was gone that she's doing this lawsuit for them. She is a separate branch of government. She does not have to listen to the mayor. We voted for her. And the fact that they're suing over the federal funding because of the sanctuary city status, and then you've got a fool like Nick Brown saying, do your damn job to President Trump, you're suing over sanctuary city status. So you're literally suing because you don't want to do your damn job, Nick Brown. So can we be real about this for a second? Mike, do me a favor. Remind me after the show today to reach out to Ann Davidson's office and say, hey, City Attorney Ann Davidson, friend of the show, I'd say, would you mind coming on the show and explaining to us why you think we should be telling the feds to go climb a tree when we're the ones who are violating the law here in Washington? And of course they should be cutting off the federal funding if we're not following federal law. How about you just try enforcing the law instead, guys? That's an easy way to go. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from the former other Jay of Olympia. Jay, we got to come up with a better name for you there, sir. It's just too long.
I know it is. It's a mouthful, huh?
Exactly. Hey, I say just Jay in Idaho. We'll just go with Jay in Idaho. How's that?
Okay, you're on.
All right, good deal. Yeah. What's up?
Hey, what a delicious mess that we have. Isn't it just wonderful? It's like a big old pot of spaghetti. It's delicious. It's messy. It's wonderful. It's good. So we're making progress, and humble gratefulness is still my theme in all the things that the Donald is doing. Interestingly, about Social Security and all these programs and grants and monies that have been, set aside for community enrichment in the country of Crapistan, is that nobody's complaining. Nobody's complaining except for the Democrats. It's just so weird.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. If people complain from other countries, we go, do you vote here? Do you pay taxes here? I don't care what you're complaining about because you are living on our good humor, as we say. So the Democrats are losing their minds because this was funding all their pet projects, their little slush fund for DEI and what other insanity they could find. For example, $3 million went to a Gazan rapper to make up anti-Semitic raps about how much he hates Israel. Somebody want to explain to me why we were paying for that?
Insane, just insane. Hey, the one thing I want to say real quick before you let me go is that I just want to try to convince all of our Republican and conservative friends, stop trying to give the Democrats suggestions about what to do. Let them twist in the wind, as they say. Let them spin. Let them continue to spiral down until they hit rock bottom like an addict, because they're not there yet. So we need to stop giving them advice and suggestions on what they need to do. Let them go.
Yeah. I completely agree. I just laugh at them. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing a great job. Jay from Idaho, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Oh, I like this text. This is from John in Lakewood. This is a biblical one. This is for all the Bible people out there. You're going to like this one. Talking about the people who are still getting Social Security checks and they're like 300 years old. Nebuchadnezzar is getting Social Security check, don't you know? Oh, very good. I like that one a lot. Very clever, John. I do like that one. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Leonard in Shoreline. Leonard, what's up?
Hey, thank you. Welcome back anyway.
Thank you.
Just to let you know, I'm glad you brought this up about Social Security and how all these dead people are still collecting money.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder why the Democrats are stealing money out of Social Security to prevent people from getting more money out of it so that they can give that money to, wait for it, undocumented aliens.
Well, here's another question for you. Did we just find, with all these people who are getting Social Security at the age of 300, did we just find all of Joe Biden's voters? I think we might have, because what, you think they're not voting also? I would love to see that comparison. Leonard, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. Are we getting closer to an end of the Russia-Ukraine war? Marco Rubio's negotiating it right now. We'll give you the details on what they're talking about when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I was really concerned when Kamala Harris left office that we wouldn't get to enjoy her word salads anymore. No, my friends, I think we're starting to have them more often now than when she was in office. So this is the best of both worlds because we can make fun of her and she has nothing to do with our lives. I keep being reminded how lucky we are to have dodged the bullet. So apparently Kamala Harris was at a performance of the Louis Armstrong musical, It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful World. What is it called here? Hang on a second. It's a Wonderful World. Right, that's the song. Right, Wonderful Life is the Christmas movie. So, It's a Wonderful World. Now, I'm not the biggest Louis Armstrong fan. Clearly, I'm not. But that song in Good Morning Vietnam, I really, really like. When it's doing the montage of the soldiers and everything, I actually think that's a great use of it right there. But anywho, Kamala Harris goes to the musical, and she has quite the pep talk for everybody involved in the show. And without further ado, it's time for another episode of Deep Thoughts with former Vice President Kamala Harris.
For those rights to be maintained, which means we have to be vigilant, and it's just the nature of it. I mean, look at this beautiful play and everything that we know he was suppressed, he had to suppress so much. But he knew, and he took those risks. But we have to be clear-eyed, and it doesn't mean we don't see the beauty in everything, right? These things all coexist. But I believe we fight for something, not against something. Right? And that's our optimism, right?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. With that, I'll leave.
Does anybody have any idea what she just said? Anybody? Now, do the people that are and agreeing with her have any idea what she just said? Or are those the people that actually voted for her? I have that question. Because, look, we make fun of Trump when he says some things. Sometimes we do that. We make fun of people on our own side when they say some dumb things. I have no clue what she just said. But what I was most shocked by is people going, To what? To what? Mike and I have been in meetings before where we're sitting there and somebody's talking and Mike and I start getting that mental telepathy, even if we're not texting each other during it, but we start, like, I will look up and Mike is looking at me and we know that whatever that person is saying is not great. We know that, whichever person that might be. Also, those of you who are married out there have definitely done this with your spouse before. All the time, I'm sure. So, were any of the people in that room? Because the problem is it didn't show the crowd. It just showed Kamala in the video. So usually you'll catch somebody giving somebody else a look and you go, oh, I know, like J.D. Vance and his wife at that speech with the crazy bishop in D.C., like that moment. I wonder if there was anybody doing that there, or do they really think she's brilliant? Because listening to that, I just go, my God, did we dodge the bullet? We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Mark in Auburn. Mark, what's up?
I was just like to talk a bit about some of the ugly, stinky sausage that the Democrats are trying to put through the Capitol legislative grinder. Two things come to mind. The parents' so negative rights revision on the already established bill, and the capital gains cap being proposed to be increased.
You mean the property taxes increase? The property taxes increase.
Property tax.
Yeah.
Sorry. My thought was, let it all just fly through as a gamble, and then use the referenda process, which is an alternate form of the initiative.
We can't use the referendum process. I'm going to tell you why. The problem is, Mark, is that the Democrats love attaching emergency riders to these things. And when you say they have to go into effect for emergency, they are not subject to the referendum process. Otherwise, we do it all the time. So they are using the levers of power in the government specifically to make sure we can't do a referendum. And now on top of that, what they're trying to do is make it so we can't run initiatives anymore. When the Democrats say they want to redo our Constitution to make sure we can't use the initiative process anymore, everybody should have believed them, because they're literally doing that right now. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. So Marco Rubio is in Saudi Arabia, where they're having peace talks or some kind of compromise talks about how to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, you need an off-ramp for both parties. Here's the thing. Is Russia going to say we're going to give back Crimea? Well, that's Obama's blunder. Is he going to say we're giving back the Donbass region? Well, that's Biden's blunder. Probably not. But at the same time, Ukraine is taking way more hits these days because Russia brought in reinforcements. And Russia just uses their soldiers as cannon fodder, or North Korea soldiers as cannon fodder. They do not care until they win. So what's happening right now is you got to give Putin a way to say, hey, we invaded and we took all these losses, but we won something. And you got to give Zelensky something because he promised his people he was going to push back Russia. And you need to come up with something in that regard right now. The problem I have, and this is a concern I have for what happens when Trump's out of office. Putin has nothing but patience. He waited out Donald Trump's entire first term in office before doing anything, and he knew he could because Joe Biden bailed on Afghanistan. So the problem you're going to have this time is Putin should agree to whatever's being proposed because when Donald Trump's out of office, if a Democrat wins, God forbid, God forbid, God forbid, he can just go back to what he was doing. And all they'll do is just call him names and not really do anything to stop him. Question is, do you think any of this is going to be successful right now? Because here's something else. Zelensky has suspended elections because of the war. So Zelensky has suspended elections, and right now Russia's saying, well, we want elections and we want a new president. That's one of their conditions, and Zelensky's going, no, I'm president. So there's a lot of stuff going on here where you have to mitigate what each side wants in the compromise. Are they all going to get what they want? No. But at the same time, this thing has dragged on for 3.5 years, and how much more money do we need to spend without an end in sight? But here's something to think about. Under Joe Biden, were there talks at all? No, it was just a blank check. How much money do you want, Zelensky? And according to Zelensky, 50% of it didn't even get to him. So the Democrats, for all their Prava Ukraine or whatever nonsense, Slava Ukraine, something about Ukraine, didn't even pay attention to the fact that half the money wasn't getting to Zelensky, if that's accurate. But now Donald Trump's been in office for what, 3 weeks now? It seems like it's been years. 3 weeks now? And finally, we're having talks about how to end this thing. It's about time, and I wonder why Joe Biden never did the same thing. Oh, right, just throw more money out the door. It'll be perfectly fine. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, CBS's Margaret Brennan is in hot water again for something dumb that she said. We've got that crazy audio for you when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Margaret Brennan from CBS has had a rough few months. I mean, getting shut down by J.D. Vance time and time and time again, getting proven wrong time and time again. So she keeps swinging for the fences. She keeps swinging for the fences, and every time she does, she sounds dumber and dumber and dumber. So, over the weekend, she's interviewing Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is busy dealing with stuff going on in Israel. He's busy dealing with stuff going on between Russia and Ukraine. Marco Rubio is doing all the things that he has to do to clean up the mess from Anthony Blinken, one of the worst, absolute worst secretaries of state this country has ever had. And then she goes rogue or off script, because if this was on script, we got problems. Apparently, Margaret Brennan thinks that Hitler was able to rise to power because of free speech? Oh, I'm sorry. What? Give a listen to this crazy interaction.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Okay, Marco Rubio is 100% correct. So I don't even need to disprove the stupid things she said because all of you out there in the audience know how stupid it was. We know that free speech was clamped down on during Nazi Germany. We know that. Hitler was able to speak because he wasn't letting anybody else speak. He had Goebbels, who was in charge of propaganda, the things you could say, the things you couldn't say. If you said something wrong, your own kids reported on you if they were in the Hitler Youth. And then you would have the police showing up at your house and arrest you for that. What the hell is she talking about? But Mike knows I do this all the time. When you listen very carefully to the way she spoke, I want you to listen to this clip one more time about how she asks the question, because I'm not sure she even believes this.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups.
Did you hear the staccato on the way she's speaking? That's not collecting your breath. That's a, do I actually believe this, or am I searching for something to ask this guy to get him a gotcha on? Was she given that script, or did she write that script out of desperation to get him on something?
Well, and I wonder with the hesitation also, I mean, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I'm also the producer of a radio show. That could be somebody in her ear.
Yes, it could be somebody talking to her saying, ask this question, ask this question. Now, Mike gets in my ear sometimes.
Because it'll be like, well, when is the show? When is the walk? When can people get tickets? When does the movie come out?
But here's the thing. Mike, we've been working together for 4 years now, right? And you know me that when you get in my ear, my brain just goes haywire and I start messing things up.
Yeah, it scrambles you more.
But you know that you have now found the gaps where I will hear what you're saying. You're now very, very good at that, so it doesn't throw off my momentum.
Right.
Who's working with her? And was it something where she can't say while she's in the middle of interviewing Marco Rubio, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. I'm talking to the guy. It could be that too. That's
it very well could be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like all this. And, and you brought this up earlier when we were chatting offline, Ari. It's like, this lady's in quicksand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, she just cannot get out of her own way. And I wonder if, she's just thinking if she just gets, one of these gotcha viral moments that will start taking her seriously as a journalist again. I don't know.
No, because
I don't remember any of this stuff from her in the past. I used to watch Face the Nation.
Yeah.
And, something's different now.
So here's the thing. You only stand out as a news anchor if you say something so insane, or you ask a gotcha question, or everybody thinks you're fair. That's really it. Or they think you suck. Okay, but the think you suck are the other extremes that we're talking about. So for Margaret Brennan, she was never really on my radar until she started putting herself on the radar, swinging for the fences, which she's not very good at this. How many times does she need to get shown up here? So what she was discussing was J.D. Vance was in Germany. And J.D. Vance was saying, hey, you guys are arresting people for things they say on the internet. You guys are arresting people for saying mean things about each other. Isn't it wonderful to have free speech in America? You may not like what somebody says, but you can have a difference of opinion. And she's comparing him saying that to Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany. By the way, guys, Trump derangement syndrome, don't forget, before there was Trump derangement syndrome, we didn't have a term for it. But George W. Bush, it was, he's the devil. He's going to be the end of all of us. So what was he? Satan, you name it. You think the same thing's not going to happen to J.D. Vance or whichever Republican picks up the MAGA mantle and runs with it in the next election? Of course it will. In fact, if it's J.D. Vance, they're going to be wishing they had Trump back. That's how crazy it is. Well, Trump's not done so bad. You're going to have Trump hanging out with Michelle Obama. Well, not Michelle. Michelle don't show up to these things. Hanging out with Barack Obama, making jokes. Oh, isn't it nice how they get along? J.D. Vance, he's the devil. Just watch. That's what they're going to do. They can't help themselves.
Yeah, and I don't think weird is going to cut it this time.
No, it's really not, because it didn't work last time.
He's weird.
Well, because they did themselves a disservice by teeing themselves off on the whole weird thing. And then you watch the debate between him and Tim Walz, and you go, Walz is really weird, and J.D. Vance sounds brilliant. He got like 10 more brilliant points because they set the bar so low for him. Bad move, guys. Really bad move.
And besides, gifted us the JD Glance meme, which we are grateful for.
My favorite thing ever. By the way, speaking of bad moves, now Washington Democrats want to get rid of George Washington. I couldn't make this up if I tried. We'll discuss that plus a whole lot more when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the awesome audio of Tom Homan calling AOC the dumbest congresswoman ever elected. But before we get to any of that, my friends, I saw this craziness while I was flying out to Israel. And I said, yes, Washington politicians don't have enough to do. Now they want to redesign the Washington state flag. Would you like to know how dumb these people are? Ready here? This I noticed in an article Como News wrote about this. The bill notes that the Washington flag is the only state flag featuring a green field and a portrait of a past president of the United States. Wow, nothing gets by you guys. Hey, Mike, why do you think it's the only flag of a state with a picture of a past president of the United States? Oh, yes, you know this one. Are there any other states named after a president of the United States?
I don't know. Ari. Can I like phone a friend or something like that? I'm like so confused. I'm all just like,
no. What's he talking about? Ari comes off the plane and all of a sudden he's talking crazy. Are there any other states named after any other presidents? Any? Is there North Washington? South Washington? No, of course not. Wow.
How about no?
Nothing gets by these legislatures. Wow. It's the only state flag with a past president on it. You know what, Mike? Screw this. Forget redesigning the flag. Let's rename the state. Okay? Let's rename the state. All right, everybody. Text me your ideas for what we should call Washington. Oh, sorry, we can't say it. He owned slaves. He owned slaves. We got to come up with a better name for the state. Now, while you're coming up with names, while you're thinking about this, I'm going to tell you a little story. And I think I've told it before on the air. A friend of mine is walking past a public school in our neighborhood. And his son said, Daddy, look, it's the Seattle flag. And the father looks up and he goes, well, I see the American flag and I see the Washington state flag and I see the pride flag. Oh, the Seattle flag. Oh, I see what it is now. All right, let's just make the pride/trans flag the flag of Washington. In fact, you know what? We're going to get rid of Washington. We're going to put all these rainbow colors behind them, and then we'll just write WASH. That's what it'll be. That's going to be our new state name, just WASH. Or would you rather it be TON? We'll just do what? I don't think really works. So should we just be the state of WASH or the state of TON? Let's just get rid of George Washington entirely. You know what? Let's get rid of Washington, D.C. You guys always want them to be another state. Forget it. Nope. If you get rid of Washington state or our state flag, I'm going to say, no, let's get rid of Washington, D.C. Just get rid of all of it. You know what? That giant monument, we're getting rid of that sucker on the National Mall. Let's just take that sucker down. Actually, wait, we can come up with a better usage for it. It's a giant pointy-looking thing. I don't know, a monument to people who are uncircumcised? I mean, what would you call this thing? Seriously, thank you. Seriously. Where does it end? Where does it end here, guys? I really have questions about this. We're really spending time on the Washington state flag. The Washington state legislature cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. So if you want to say no to all this stupidity, it's House Bill 1938, sponsored, of course, by Democrats. Oh, here's something else. They're going to bring in historians and tribal leaders. Oh, you know what? Let's put Chief South right on there.
The slave owner?
Wait a sec. You can't say that. You can't do that, Mike. No. Shh. Don't do that.
See, I'm confused. It's like in this state, in the state in between Oregon and Canada, we must be awfully pro-slave because we're just gonna replace one slave owner with another one. Another one.
By the way, You want to
Another
bet
one.
that they'll name it like they want to. There's going to be something after this, after they redo the flag.
Yes.
Whatever design they come up with, you're going to get an inkling of what direction they want to go with renaming the state. Just watch. By the way, I think the Washington state flag is ugly as sin. It is, and I'm admitting it.
Yeah.
It looks like a bad version of the dollar bill. But the problem is, I don't trust these fools to come up with something better. I don't. So I'm all for redesigning the Washington state flag, but not these guys. And by the way, this isn't a Democrat-Republican thing. This is these Democrats, the ones who want to take away parental rights, the ones who want to release criminals everywhere. These Democrats are the ones who should not be within 100 miles of making this decision. It is an ugly flag. I mean, it looks like what you're going to wave at the Daytona 500 when you're starting to go. It is not an attractive one. But you know what this is. For them, this is about how can we get rid of George Washington. That's what it's going to be.
Please, his Christian name, slave owner,
comma,
George
Excuse
Washington.
me, it is white colonizer slave
Oh,
owner.
right,
Thank
yes,
you, Mike.
yes.
Okay? That's what's going to be. And watch, they're going to pick some random some random Native American who also owns slaves, by the way. You know what? Can we take down that statue of Chief Self that's right in front of the 5 Points bar? Let's get rid of that sucker. He's a slave owner. You guys want to have this? You guys want to do this? Let's do this. Let's get into this. This is really, really stupid.
Yeah. You know, and I would say, Ari, though, I would advocate for the devil, being devil's advocate here. You already said it. The flag is kind of hideous.
Yes, it is.
And it is unremarkable. But like, I don't know. You get George Washington like kicking some redcoat butt or something like that. Just being like George Washington : American badass. George Washington : the first American badass.
Yes.
I mean, give me something like that.
You know what the problem is? Flag designs are usually more simplified.
But
you know what would be pretty cool? Him on the boat crossing the Delaware River with his guys rowing for him, and you'd be like, well, we're not in Delaware. We go, we don't care. It's George Washington, and he looks awesome. Yeah, see, something like that, maybe. But no, this is really the first step to getting rid of George Washington. They did it in King County. King County used to be a different king. Oh, by the way, question. Why is Washington State paying royalties to the family of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? It's King County says they're not paying royalties for his logo. I emailed them. I asked. So what are they paying royalties to the King family for? Or maybe they're picking up the tab for King County? I have no idea. Are we going to have to pay the South family? Or maybe we're going to have to do a flag acknowledgement. I acknowledge that we took your land. I acknowledge it. But, we're not giving it back to you or anything. I just acknowledge that this is your land. Like they do at the stupid Kraken games. Oh, we just want to acknowledge that we're playing our ice hockey and selling our hot dogs on your land. We're not giving it back to you or a portion of the proceeds or anything. But this is the Coast Salish. Land acknowledgements are the dumbest thing in the universe. They really, really are. I acknowledge that I took your land, but I'm keeping your land. I don't think we should be giving it back. I don't think we should be doing that. But at the same time, the land acknowledgements are so dumb, so stupid. Anyway, moving on to more stupid around here. Oh, wait, hang on. Here's the bill. You want to say no to this stupidity, you call the Washington State Legislative Hotline. 1-800-562-6000. That's 1-800-562-6000. Say no to House Bill 1938 on redesigning the flag. That's no on House Bill 1938. If you come up with any good designs from Grok for the Washington State flag, mine are kind of lame. I put this into Grok. All it's giving me is evergreen trees and Mount Rainier. Very boring. Meanwhile, here's the other things they're working on. You ready for this one? Pay by mile. Pay per mile is this new proposal where they want you to wait, hang on. Cairo 7 had this really bad headline about this. Where is it here? Yes. Here it is. Ready for this one? This is what they wrote. States' pay-by-mile program would require drivers to voluntarily opt in. I'm sorry, what? If you're requiring them to voluntarily opt in, it's not voluntary anymore, you fools. Okay, so let me make sure I got this right. You want us to voluntarily opt in for a tracking device in our vehicles, or you're going to check our odometer reading every time we go to get the car registered? I never renew my tab, so good luck with that. By the way, a lot of other people are going to join the Ari Hoffman Club on this one. Guaranteed, because if they're trying about per mile, By the way, I thought they just raised our gas taxes, and they said, oh, it's for roads and bridges. They claim this is for roads and bridges. No, it's just another money grab. It's another way to try and get you out of your car. But yes, this is the new stupidity that they are pushing on you. Now, something fascinating here. They already had the testimony on this one. Would you like to know what the results were? It was overwhelmingly against it. So 98.69% of people who wrote in, emailed in, called in about this bill were on the don't do it side. 98.69%. And then they have to go quote this study by the Washington Department of Transportation that says, oh, people love this idea. Really? Because that's not jibing with the amount of people who said no to it in the Washington State Legislature. The people who called into the Washington State Legislature, the Democrat ideas are overwhelmingly unpopular. Now, Democrats have advanced the Senate version of this mild tax nonsense, Senate Bill 5726. So what I want you to do is I want you to call a legislative hotline and say no to this stupidity. 1-800-562-6000. That's 1-800-562-6000. That's con or no on Senate Bill 5726. If you can't remember which one it is, you just say the pay per mile tax. I don't want it. No more. That's 1-800-562-6000. By the way, Washington State Senate Republicans point out that the mileage tax scheme comes from the Inslee-appointed Washington Transportation Commission. Legislative Democrats are also not ruling out increasing the gas tax again either. They don't want you in your car, so they're going to tax you till you get out of your car. Yeah, some of them really believe we're all going to be on mass transit one day. Let me tell you something. I just got back from Israel. Israel is trying to create mass transit now. They have a light rail that goes down the middle of Jerusalem. Do you know how many decades it took them to build that sucker with the archaeological and all the other stuff? And people still have to drive for work. There are still people who have to drive. And by the way, they did their light rail correctly. They did it right where people use it and people pay for it and all that. But at the same time, there are still people who need to drive for work. And you can't get rid of that entirely, no matter how hard you try. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Jerry in Ellensburg. Jerry, what's up?
Hey, just want to talk about the flag redesign and the King County logo that was redesigned. So in the 90s, there was a competition to redesign the King County logo, and I actually won that competition. But Gary Locke put a stop to it because the media made such a big deal about the few thousand it would cost to change the business cards and all the other applications over to a new logo. So,
wait a second, Jerry, can you do me a favor? Can you send me ARI@KVI.com? That's ARI@KVI.com. Can you send me what your logo would have looked like?
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love to see that kind of thing. That reminds me of the story with the Utah Jazz. Why are the Utah Jazz still the Utah Jazz? That makes no sense. The Jazz are from New Orleans. That makes sense. But now they should be, right, they should be the Utah Mormons or the Utah Ski Slopes or whatever it is out there. But instead, they're the Jazz because they had a similar thing where they said it was going to be too expensive to change all the merchandise.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Well, they changed it 10 years later.
Yeah, they did. And I wonder if they're still, they told me they're not paying royalties, but I wonder why Washington State is paying over 6 figures in royalties to the King family. I wonder what that occasion, what that reason is for. Jerry, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. There are a ton of bad bills going on around here. But here's another one. So a lot of you have been reaching out to me since we started this Washington Doge volunteer program. So a lot of people have been sending me their tips. What I did was I posted a link to Washington's checkbook. Yes, we do have some good laws regarding government transparency around here, and Washington has their checkbook where you can see what they've been spending their money on. Now, we've been doing a lot of things they've actually spent money on, like how they gave 6 figures to the Seattle Times, how they gave $15,000 to The Stranger, how they gave almost $20,000 to the Seattle Gay News. So Clearly, they're paying for the left-leaning and the far-left media. That's something they're doing. I'm curious how many other media outlets we're going to find on this thing. I guarantee you we're not going to find any conservative ones. But here's something somebody else sent me. Washington's broadband equity access deployment program valued at $1.2 billion. $1.2 billion. Now, Washington has a $12 to $16 billion budget deficit, which means it's probably more than that. But this program they have for $1.2 billion is based on a failed Biden administration program that spent $42 billion and didn't connect anybody to broadband or internet. Basically, here's their excuse. They want a giant slush fund so they can say, oh, we're bringing internet to rural people. But, you know, a lot of those people have already gotten Starlink because they're tired of waiting for you. It was promised by Jay Inslee many, many times. It was promised by Joe Biden and crew. It's promised by Democrats all the time. But here's something else. Starlink is better. And it has far less infrastructure costs. But they won't do it because Musk equals bad. Musk equals Orange Man. Musk is bad. So they won't get Starlink. And actually, when I put this post up, a lot of people messaged me over on X about, yeah, I got Starlink. Because this is absolutely crazy. They want to blow billions of dollars on this infrastructure. Drop a cell phone tower. Who doesn't have internet these days on their phone? Who can't get Starlink? Everybody, you know, the Super Bowl had that commercial where you could sign up for Starlink for free trials for a few months through T-Mobile right now. No, none of them are sponsors of the show. But you could do that right now for free just to try it out. And yet the government wants to drop $1.2 billion on this insanity? It's crazy. It's criminal. And meanwhile, you have this massive budget deficit. They don't want to acknowledge it. You know, the Washington Doge volunteers, and it's people like you who listen to the show who are helping me out with this. And if you want, you can message me over on X at the Hoffather. Is that people have found, by my math so far, we are up to almost $1.5 billion in waste just by going through the checkbook. Just by going through that. Imagine how much stuff we found if we found all their little slush funds. And what's fascinating to me is one of the people who's working with us on Washington Doge is actually showing me and writing down in their spreadsheet about which politician is a member of the boards, of the organizations that are getting this money. It's all crony capitalism going on right here. It's all everybody's favorite causes. And meanwhile, what are they going to do? They're going to tax us per mile. They're going to tax us on capital gains. They're going to tax us on everything they possibly can because as opposed to actually, meaningfully slicing the budget, instead they're going to say, well, we trimmed a little bit around the edges, but we're going to tax you so we don't have to cut any of these pet projects that fund our friends. It's nauseating. It really, really is. When we come back, my friends, ICE is active here in Seattle, and Tom Homan is not pulling any punches. We're going to bring you what he said next about AOC, and it's awesome. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card and 2 run of engagement passes to a movie, which I will tell you more about later. That's right, my friends. Yet another reason to always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI, left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and of course, subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. You guys on the text line are awesome, by the way. The new ideas for what we should call Washington State and what the flag should be. Now, of course, there's the obvious ones where we have the pride flag with George Washington smiling real big on front of it. That's one suggestion here. But our friend Matt G says we should just rename the state Woke-onda. I like that one a lot. I thought that was very good, Matt.
Wakanda forever!
Yeah, exactly. While holding up the pride flag and waving it back and forth. Yeah, I don't think that climax of the Avengers would be the same. We'll do more of these, but first let's go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Katie in Shoreline. Katie, what's up?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing just peachy. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I have to say, I found your station a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, frickin' finally, like a group that actually makes sense in this little wokey area that I moved to a year and a half ago. Finally, a little bit of red in this big sea of blue nonsense.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. We like hearing that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I'm filling out this form, right, a medical form, and you get to the gender thing, and I'm like, this is always interesting. And they always give you a couple of choices, right? Male, female, prefer not to say, non-binary, whatever. This one gives me 3 options: cisgender, transgender, or prefer not to answer. So I literally have to pick one of the 2. So I'm Googling cisgender because I'm like, there's way too many genders to choose from.
Hang on 1 second, Katie. Hang on, I have a clarifying question. Now, if it's a medical thing, just say medical thing. But what are you filling this form out for? Is it with a government agency?
No, it's a medical. It's just for like a doctor's appointment.
And your only options are transgender or cisgender or whatever?
Or prefer not to say. So it's either pick one of those or it's something else that you don't want to disclose, and that's okay. You don't have to tell us.
Unbelievable. Katie, I know you just got here, so you're going to have to learn to speak Washington, okay? Now, in Washington, some people have 72 virgins, like over in Islam. You know, we have 72 different genders, right? Because we want to be as inclusive as possible. So, Katie, if you don't call the show and give me your pronouns and what you're wearing and how you identify, I'm sorry, I don't think we can have you on the show anymore.
I'm just like, I had to look it up. I'm like, cisgender, the sex or and identify with. And I'm just like, yes,
yeah.
female.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy
I'm just
stuff.
Like, you can't put male or female anymore because you're going to what? Offend one of the other pronoun people? Like, I just don't even understand.
Yes, people get offended over everything around here. So you know what I did when I got off the plane today? I've always got a baseball hat on my backpack. Always, always do. And today, getting off the plane, I'm just like, screw it. And I grabbed my black MAGA hat that says Make America Great Again, but it's the black one. I really like the way the black one looks. And just walked through SeaTac Airport wearing that sucker, because screw them. That's why. That's right. They'll be like, where'd that guy come from? And I hate to break it to you guys right here in Seattle. Katie, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from John in Lakewood. John, what's up?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to make some comment on Elon Musk. You know, how everybody is ranting and raving on the other side about how this is a constitutional crisis and he shouldn't have access to these records. Well, you know, the president or any elected official can take the advice of anybody. And Elon Musk is advising the president as a citizen.
Exactly.
I believe he's hired. I don't know if he's accepting any pay, but he's certainly free to give advice. The president does not have to utilize it.
Exactly. George Soros gave Joe Biden and crew lots of advice. Alex Soros gave them. See, it's really only the billionaires they don't like. They have a problem with. And by the way, something else, John. If you notice they stopped saying millionaires over there on the Democrat. It used to be millionaires and billionaires. Like that's the way Bernie Sanders would talk. But now that a whole bunch of them are millionaires, thanks to Nancy's stock tips or whatever else they're doing, now it's just billionaires. But it's only certain billionaires. John, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to join us today on this fun day? Give us your suggestions of what Washington should be renamed. Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Christine in Edmonds. Christine, what's up?
Hi. How are you doing, Ari?
I am doing wonderfully, but I am on 6 hours of sleep in the last 36 hours because I don't sleep well on planes, and I didn't have any wine this time, which, by the way, I mean, I fell asleep like right when I got on, and it was free wine the whole flight, and I missed all of it.
Oh, well, listen, since President Trump won, and I'm supposed to be being positive and feeling good. I felt so good about so many things and how he's accomplished so much. And then I get a call from my Democratic cousin up north, and she says, Christine, our wildfire prevention funds have been frozen by Trump. And see, I have a cousin in Winthrop, a daughter, I'm sorry, and I always worry about fires, for her. So when she told me that, I said, well, that couldn't be true, So then I said, where did you get the information from? And she said, Seattle Times, last Friday, February 7th, the Washington Department of Natural Resources said, and so I found it, and it says they could not access the $200 million funds for our state for wildfire prevention and rescue because Trump has frozen them.
So I looked up that article. Isn't that a reprint of a New York Times article that the Seattle Times printed?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is I Googled it and I saw it there. I think I sent it to you, but I know you're busy. But I thought that, I went from being happy to being scared because I thought, well, I know Trump wouldn't do that to us.
Okay, here, I'll explain it. Let me explain this because you're not the first one that's asked me about this. So let's explain it. Number one.
An anxiety attack.
No, I got you here, okay? Number one, they are doing an audit of everything in the federal government, and they're saying, hey, wait a second here, guys. Can we make sure that the spending on wildfires is actually going to wildfires and not cisgender trans ideology, which they're finding in everything else?
Right.
So, for example, some funds from Homeland Security that are going out to religious institutions are stopped right now while they're auditing those. Now, some things have been restored, some things are not. But here's something else. Have you noticed what they're doing in Washington State? In Washington State, you've got people from King County like Dow Constantine saying, we're going to have to cut first responders.
Yes.
We're going to have to cut the police.
Yes.
No, that's because they refuse to cut their pet projects. And they're saying, well, we use the federal funds for this. So basically what they're saying is it's malicious enforcement by saying, oh, you're going to do this, then we're going to cut these things as opposed to cutting their pet projects. Christine, appreciate the call. Appreciate the questions. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Steve in Tacoma. Steve, what's up?
Hey, Ari, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, hey, before I get to Starlink, they should rename it Taxington and have a wheelbarrow with a pile of cash going across it.
Oh, we've gotten a lot of the ones like that. Like some people just want to name it Soviet Stan or the People's Republic of Washington. I mean, I'm getting a lot of those jokes.
Right. So the Starlink thing, it's not really as easy as you think because my soon-to-be wife ordered it, but we had to put a deposit and we're on a waiting list.
Because there's so much demand for it?
I believe that's the reason why.
You can access parts of it through your cell phone, if I understand correctly. I'll tell you what, Steve, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do more research into Starlink tonight. I'm going to sign up for that free thing that they were advertising during the Super Bowl. I'm going to go try that. I should have done that before I went to Israel so I didn't get all those roaming charges. That would have been really smart, Hoffman. Didn't think about that. But anyway, I'm going to sign up for that tonight. Get some more info for you on it. Okay, Steve?
Yeah, because I'm tired of paying money to a cable company that will not be named.
Yes, we all are. Everybody who lives in our area feels the exact same way. Steve, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, that awesome audio I promised you of Tom Homan calling AOC the dumbest member of Congress, plus more of your calls and your texts. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I am absolutely loving the suggestions coming through on the text line and the phone calls about what to rename Washington and how to redo the Washington state flag. I'm going to kick this up a notch. For those of you who are on X, Right now, go and follow me. That's at the Hoffather. Follow Big Mike over on KVI while you're there. And use Grok. Use the AI and redesign the flag yourself and send me your submissions. Send them on over, and the really good ones I'll put up there. I don't know if I discussed this before I left town, Mike, when I asked Grok it was when Trump announced that we were going to take over the Gaza Strip and it was going to be, part of America. So I asked it to make the MAGA Strip, and it misunderstood the assignment, because what did it give me? It gave me like what looked like a strip club casino type thing, and Donald Trump is up on the dance floor doing his little dance with the American and Israeli flags behind him. So Grok can be entertaining sometimes. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Paul in Port Angeles. Paul, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, Ari?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you.
I have a great idea for this new state name.
Yeah.
Let's call it No Vaseline.
No, Paul, no. But funny. Very funny, Paul.
It perfectly explains our system of government.
There. Appreciate the call, Paul. Very good. Very good. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Jeff at Edmonds. Jeff, what's going on?
Hey, how are you? I didn't realize you had so many flag entries already. I just thought rainbow flag with a big snowflake in the middle.
There you go. There you go. I like that one. Does it say Washington on it, or it doesn't say Washington on it?
No, apparently nobody can read our flag anymore. It's too complicated. And we don't have a lot of readers anymore.
Well, we don't because of the public school system. I mean, none of those 4th or 8th graders can actually read anything anymore, right?
Yeah, just no words, just rainbow snowflake.
Okay, would you put the trans triangle on it or no trans triangle?
Oh, gee.
See, these are big things you got to think about there, Jeff. You throw out an idea like that, you got to think. Or is that one where you go, you know what, we'll make a special flag for Trans Awareness Day?
Yeah. No, I didn't thought it through.
Very good, Jeff. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. And go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Josh in Elk Plain. Josh, what's up?
How's it going, Ari? Called you a few times, but I was just going to let you know that after your last segment where you're talking about the pay-by-mile, I called the legislative hotline. The lady was very nice, took my opposition down, got my address and all that. And
excellent.
It was, easy peasy.
Excellent. Everybody else should do the exact same thing. You should all do what Josh did and call a legislative hotline at 1-800-562-6000 and say no to this stupidity on redesigning the flag and say no to the pay-per-mile tax. What's on your mind, Josh?
Well, I drive about 110 miles round trip for work every day, so I don't think that would be a good thing for my pocketbook. So
yeah, they're going to do it to all of us. And by the way, here's something worse, and I don't think the rest of the U.S. understands this. If they do it here, they're going to say, oh, look, they did it in Washington. Let's do it in these other places as well. Josh, good job calling that hotline. You want to be like Josh, you give the hotline a call. Be nice to them. Be polite to them. 1-800-562-6000. 1-800-562-6000. That's the legislative hotline. Say no to this pay-per-mile nonsense and say no to this flag redesign stupidity. Before I forget, we'll come back to the flag redesign craziness. I want to play this awesome audio for you because speaking of dumb ideas, AOC is just going off about the ICE raids because she's looking out for criminals and stuff. So Tom Homan was on Fox News. Oh, excuse me. He was on Newsmax with this one. And he had some very choice words about AOC.
First of all, I think she's,
Yeah, see, AOC should really be a member of the Washington State Legislature with her stupidity. See, I think that would make great sense. Well, these kind of laws are written by people like AOC. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from George and Kenmore. George, what's going on?
Hey, I always called us the PDRC, People's Democratic Republic of Cascadia, run by the Honorable Jerry Brown and Jay Inslee, and of course now Turd Ferguson. But our flag could be, down at San Onofrio on I-5 where the illegal alien sign is.
Yeah.
Where they just before the roadblock they have there, and they have this family like running across. It's on a yellow road sign, just like a deer crossing.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be our flag sign.
I got a different idea. I want to take the Babylon Bee flyer that they did. It's a flyer, like an old 1950s, 60s travel flyer. It says, "Come explore the ancient ruins of the autonomous zone." I want to make that our flag. I think that would be gold. Appreciate the call, George. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, more of this flag insanity. It doesn't stop because there was public testimony today on it. And, the sound bites are glorious. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Remember, if you want to see this beautiful face and this receding hairline, you can always check out the video over on Facebook, X, Rumble, and sometimes YouTube when they haven't banned me recently, so that's always a good thing. Check it out over there. Well, my friends, what's going on with the Washington flag redesign has sparked interest from across the state. Joining us now in studio, who has been watching the public testimony of the people who do public testimony on the flag redesign, senior political reporter for Northwest News Radio, our sister station, the one and only Jeff Pogolo.
Well, good afternoon and welcome back. Hope you had a fun trip over to Israel.
I most certainly did. I ate all the cows. If there was a cow, I ate it. It was all very, very tasty. All right, Jeff, you were watching the public comment today. Any Star Wars references? Any Star Trek?
No, not that I was aware of or that I saw that I caught on, but have you ever watched Parks and Rec?
Yes. Yes.
There was a lot
of
that.
Yeah. So this is all about the flag, right?
It's all about the Washington state flag. Now, we're all familiar with it, right? The red, or not red, the yellow and green
It's
motif.
not red yet, but give them time, and it's going to be bright, bright red, my friend.
Yellow and green Washington state seal upon a green field. Well, you don't think it's something that's worth changing? Apparently the audio's not playing here.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Keep talking. I'll see what I can
We'll
do.
talk. We'll fix that going.
Okay.
So hang on a second. Right now, look, I can agree that the Washington state flag is ugly as sin. But at the same time, the people in the legislature right now, I don't trust these people to redesign this thing because for all I know, I'm going to get something even worse than what we have now. That happened in Minnesota, didn't it?
Hey, one, my family's from Minnesota.
That's why I'm asking you.
And two, I'm not an expert on graphic design, so I am not qualified to say what is better or what is worse.
Okay, fine. We won't judge you on any of that kind of stuff. So give us an idea of the kind of people that were there today. Were there any songs? Sometimes they sing.
No, there weren't songs, but there were people who had a rather tough grasp on history, I would think.
Yes.
Others that maybe had a tough grasp on reality, I would think. But certainly that's been something that we've been paying close attention to because, this is a public hearing. It wasn't a time for the lawmakers to outline the pros and cons of their bill or it wasn't debate amongst the state lawmakers. This was for the public to voice their concern.
I see. Their concerns about redesigning the flag.
Concerns or support.
Or support for, well, which one had more people testifying from what you were listening to anecdotally? We're not going to hold you to the numbers.
No, but certainly there are people that signed up for testimony, and then there are people who actually testified. Thousands upon thousands of people signed up, both for and against, significantly more against the redesign bill, but whether or not they testified, because over and over again is so-and-so on the line, is so-and-so in the committee hearing room. Nope. And so they moved on to the next one. So,
Gotcha.
So you had a lot of people. It's generated a fair amount of interest, to say the least.
Okay, let's try some audio right now and see if we can hear these people.
There's a lot of things that could be up on a flag, and we're just missing out with a field of green with Washington's face.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe.
It should not be just the government seal on a bed sheet with nothing else behind it.
A bed sheet. Do you know a lot of people with that color bed sheets? I may have had that when I was a kid or something like that.
The seal is hard to read. It is difficult for people to understand. The only thing we really have going for us is the green background.
This is what people spend their time
You cannot appreciate the detail, let alone read the seal, when a flag is flapping in the breeze.
Okay, wait, stop that one right there. No more flags at all ever. We're just going to get giant wooden or metal panels, which are going to have your emblem on them because we don't want them flapping in the breeze, right?
Well, I mean, to his point, I think the text that is in the seal is a little bit difficult to read from a distance, certainly as it's moving. You can obviously compare it to the United States flag, very easily identifiable from a distance. Others, not a huge fan of the current flag.
I'd love to say that I love our flag, but I don't, because to put it plainly, it sucks.
And then, of course, you have to have, as you would call it, the woke argument.
Washington was a slave owner who never even lived here.
See, I told you so. I said this is what was going to happen, right, Mike?
Somebody pick up the phone because we called it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so here's what we're going to do. We're going to get
okay.
Chief Self on the flag.
Chief Sealth is already on the City of Seattle flag.
No. We're going to put him on this one because if we're going to have a slave owner, we're going to make sure it was a Native American slave owner going on that flag.
But not everyone was supportive of the idea of a redesign.
President Washington's been flown powerfully over our state for more than 100 years. Let's not be the generation responsible for ripping him off of that sacred place.
I agree. Are we going to take him off?
But you said that the flag is not a good flag at the outset.
I didn't say remove George Washington from it. I just think it's ugly as sin.
No one ever said remove George Washington either.
Why do you think they're doing
this? That's one public testimony version of it.
Okay.
Not in the bill. Nothing in the bill, Senate or House Bill 1938, nothing in there says anything about removing George Washington.
I agree
It's coming up with a new design.
So, I think this is my theory, is that this is the first step. Now, Jeff, I think that we need to rename our state South something because it'll be more desirable to tourists. Don't you think so? After all, South Dakota gets more tourists than North Dakota, right?
Well, yeah, they also have Mount Rushmore.
There we go. Picked up on what I was putting down right there, West Wing reference. Got like 30 seconds left. What else you got?
There's also some well, just listen.
We need to go back to the history before Woodrow Wilson changed all the history books. I've done a lot of studying on this. If we want to honor George Washington, he was probably a person of color.
I'm sorry, what?
You heard right. And this person and others testifying brought their own designs for flags, pictures, and things like that, to which the committee chairwoman, Representative Charlotte Mina.
Sir, we can't allow people to use props in committee, so...
But beyond that, you even had those who were supportive of the current design, who described themselves as ultra-Republican. Not everyone had the greatest argument there either.
We are named Washington. I love that it is Washington because it's better than having to, we have to type it all the time, right? It's a long word.
It's a long word. So from now on, it's just going to be wah, or ton. That's what we'll do. Jeff Pogela from Northwest News Radio, thank you so much for joining us today. And a reminder to everybody, if you want to send us your flag designs, your ideas for what to rename the People's Republic of Washington, please send it on over to arikvi.com. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including a $50 gift card to Daniel's Broiler and 2 movie passes to The Last Breath. But before we get to any of that, so many of you want to weigh in on this flag nonsense and the craziness of pay by mile. So we go right to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Donna in Spanaway. Donna, what's going on? What do you think we should change the Washington flag to?
Oh, hey, how's it going? Okay. This is a two-parter. First of all, maybe we could do something like what Prince did. We can't, get rid of the name and just keep a symbol, maybe something like a turd for Ferguson or maybe a big crying baby. Or the other part of this is we actually can't call Washington State anything because if we do, we're identifying it, and that could be very offensive.
Oh, my God, you're right. We don't know how Washington identifies itself. We may be mislabeling our own state.
Yeah, all I see is a big crying baby or a big turd for Ferguson on the flag. But that's what we're going to have to call it.
Very good, Donna. Appreciate the call. Appreciate the humor. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Ernie in Spanaway. Ernie, what's going on?
Hey, Ari. Glad you had a great trip, and welcome back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's about this pay-per-mile tax, and as I was telling them when I called in, who it's going to hurt a lot, too? It's going to be the older people or like me, retired. I'm not going to put any kind of device in my vehicle so they can track me. That's not going to happen. And if they're going to sit there and check on my odometer every time I register my vehicle, me and my wife, we don't just stay in the state of Washington. We travel all over. And, that's going to be, very unfair to try to tax us on that. And I want to know how they're going to figure that one out.
Here's something else.
I'm not going to keep a travel log on where I'm going because it's none of their business.
Right.
So I see a big civil lawsuit on this if this goes through.
Right. I remember the lawsuit they did on our garbage cans. Do you remember this one? Where they said, well, because originally they were saying if you put the wrong kind of thing in the wrong container, they were going to fine you, and that didn't hold up because of civil rights litigation. This won't hold up either. But if it does, for God knows what reason, think about this. Truck drivers. So now they have to pay more for gas. Your grocery bills go up. Other goods go up. The exact same thing is going to happen with this. Your cost of cabs and Ubers and everything will go up because everything is transported by truck, and they're all driving multiple miles, and it's going to have to be a pay per mile, so everything that you buy will go up in cost. So remember, if you want to say no to this pay by mile stupidity, call the legislative hotline, be polite, give them a call at 1-800-562-6000. That's 1-800-562-6000. Ernie, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. On one hand, I am thrilled that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump are renaming things or putting things back to their original names. Gulf of America, Fort Bragg as opposed to Fort Liberty, bringing all that stuff back. But you know that this stuff actually costs money anytime you change it. There aren't imaginary costs. These are real costs. You have to redo all the signage at Fort Bragg back to Fort Bragg from Fort Liberty. That costs money unless they got the old one sitting around, but you're still paying the labor to have it done. Gulf of America, that still costs money. I get why they're doing it. It's fun, it's entertaining, and also keeping with history. I get that, but that does cost money. So some people might say, hey, that's a huge waste. But you know what? Donald Trump just a little while ago was talking about all the waste in government. Now, this is a longer clip, by the way. It's about 4 minutes of Donald Trump, but listen to some of the insanity that he was exposing that Doge has uncovered.
Where's the money being spent, right? Let's go into that for just a second. $520 million for a consultant on the environment. It's called Environmental, Social, and Governance. Investments in Africa and mobilize private sector resources. $520 million. Somebody got $520 million for an environmental Sounds like an environmental study. I've always been one that paid a lot of money for my environmental studies, but I paid like $50,000, not $520 million. $520 million for ESG. $25 million to promote biodiversity, conservation, and promote licit livelihoods by developing socially responsible behavior in the country of Colombia. Well, it's nice, $25 million to go into Colombia for something that nobody ever heard of. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. $40 million. $42 million for Johns Hopkins, great place, to research and drive social and behavior change in Uganda. $42 million. What about us? What about social change in our country? $70 million for a center at Purdue to research university-sourced, evidence-based solutions to developmental challenges. I mean, these are massive numbers on things that nobody ever heard about. $10 million for Mozambique voluntary medical male circumcisions. $10 million for circumcisions in another country. $9.7 million for UC Berkeley to develop a cohort of Cambodian youth with enterprise-driven skills. In other words, let's teach them something about enterprise. What about our people? Can't we teach them about enterprise? $2.3 million for strengthening independent voices in Cambodia. $32 million to the Prague Civil Society Center, which is a very liberal group of people. Wonder how much of that money came back to the people that approved it. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $486 million to the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, including $22 million for inclusive and participatory political process in Moldova, and $21 million for voter turnout in India. Well, why are we giving $21 million to India? They got a lot of money. They're one of the highest taxing countries in the world in terms of us. We can hardly get in there because their tariffs are so high. I have a lot of respect for India. I have a lot of respect for the Prime Minister. He just left, as you know, 2 days ago. But we're giving $21 million for voter turnout. It's voter turnout in India. What about, like, voter turnout here? Oh, we've done that, I guess. We did $500 million, didn't we? It's called the lockboxes. $20 million for fiscal federalism in Nepal. Listen to these numbers. This is all fraud. $19 million for biodiversity conservation in Nepal. $1.5 million for voter confidence. We want to give them confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $2.5 million for inclusive democracies in South Africa. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well. They're doing a lot better than we do in the schools, aren't they? $2 million to develop sustainable recycling models to increase socioeconomic cohesion among marginalized communities in Kosovo and Escali and in Egypt. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. I could, by the way, I could read this all day long. I could go on all day long, and you'll see hundreds of billions of dollars.
Hundreds of billions of dollars of waste. I bet you we find somewhere around $5 trillion of waste in our budget. Easy. I remember, I don't know if it's still there or not, but I remember in the 90s when I was going to high school in Manhattan, there was a billboard on a building that said the national debt is currently X. And it would go up, it would go down, it would not really be moving or whatever the case may be, depending on the day. But, you know, it did track these things. I kind of wonder what will happen if it'll ever start going down. If it'll ever go cranking down, 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 based on the amount of money that Doge is exposing all this insanity. And anybody who's getting mad about this, you got to ask their motivations why. So a lot of you, while I was in Israel, were actually sending me, a lot of you took me up on the offer to be part of the volunteer group for Washington Doge, where we have no affiliation with Elon Musk or crew, but we have been sending them some tips on some stuff we've been finding here in Washington, but realize the stuff we're analyzing is state-based stuff. Now, if they're using federal funds for this, of course, we'll send that over. But so far, we have found $1.5 billion of waste in Washington. Now, the stuff we have found is not stuff that you go, well, that's a Democrat priority. No, this is flat-out waste. Why are we paying six figures to the Seattle Times? Why are we paying the Seattle Stranger $15,000? Why are we paying the Seattle Gay News $20,000? Why are we doing requests for proposals from the Washington Department of Commerce for events to go against and repeal the Second Amendment? Why are we doing that? Why are we spending the money on that stupidity? If some anti-gun group wants to go do that, then go do that. But why is the Department of Commerce doing that? Why are we spending $1.2 billion installing broadband over the place when the federal government tried the same thing for $40 billion and didn't actually hook anybody up? Plus, you have things like Starlink. Why are we spending that kind of money? It is tons of waste. It is ripe with fraud. Now, something else Musk has been exposing is how many people are taking Social Security who, according to our records, are over 150 years old.
But look at this. From 90 to 99, Social Security, 6,054,000 people. Well, that's okay. Maybe that's possible. 90 to 99, maybe it's possible. It's a lot of people, though, at that. But people that live to 100 to 109, 4,734,000. Wow, that's a lot. That means over 100 years old. They have 4 million people. I don't know too many. I know people that are doing great in their 90s, but not too many people over 100. But over 120, from 120 years old, people that are 120 years old up to 129, 3,472,000 people. Wow. That can't possibly be, because the record is like, I think it's one person, a woman, lived to 127, but they have 3,472. Okay, but now we're going really in. People from 130 years old to 139-year-old, 3,936,000. Wow. I wonder if people are getting paid with all this. I mean, are these checks? And that's what we're checking right now. People from 140 years old to 149 years old, 3,542,000, 140 years old.
But here's something else, guys. It's not just Donald Trump going through all these numbers. The lamestream media is picking it up as well. Here's MSNBC talking about the fraud they found.
There was an Inspector General audit last year that showed over an 8-year period, the Social Security Administration made almost $72 billion in improper payments, a little less than 1% of payments in that time period. Now, the report also says that most of these improper payments were overpayments, not payments to deceased people or people who didn't qualify to receive these payments. At the same time, Jose, this effort by DOJ is to go through this agency like every other.
Oh, because that's better. Because overpayments is better. One way or the other, guys, there are massive problems in the system. And you want to say you found a few hundred, but you're talking about millions upon millions upon millions of people. I wonder if they're voting also on top of everything else. You ever think about asking yourselves that question? The amount of waste they are finding is insane. The stuff we're finding just by going through the Washington checkbook, as so it's called. You can find it on the Washington State website. It's right there. It's easy to access. You want to help us find the stuff we've been finding. I got a big reveal tonight. Millions of dollars being blown on another media outlet. It's insane how much money we're wasting around here. Absolutely crazy. And the left is going bonkers about it. Apparently, they had a whole bunch of protests yesterday about this. Mike, I wasn't in country, but I heard that they had all these protests about it because the lamestream media keeps saying it. But aside from Jonathan Cho, I didn't see a lot of video of this stuff going around the interwebs. So what? Everybody decided to take the one day off they have in February, one work day off, and go protest and yell at the federal building? I think all they did was yell at the federal building and yell at Jonathan Cho.
Well, and I can't figure this out for the life of me, Ari. First of all, I didn't see anything because I was also enjoying the day off. You know, what did I see while I was off? A bunch of Law and Order reruns.
Well, here's something else. You're protesting a federal building on a federal holiday. holiday
where there's nobody there.
There's nobody there to hear you complain about it. Have fun at your federal
I got a sound effect for this one. Who was there? Who was there? Ask me who was there.
Who was there, Mike?
Nobody.
Very good. Exactly. So go protest the federal building. Have fun with yourselves. I'm sure it was very, very exciting. Meanwhile, Fox 13 has the latest challenges to the Trump administration.
Washington Governor Bob Ferguson and other state leaders were sounding the alarm over President Trump's recent moves at a news conference today.
The Democratic leaders criticized his actions, from potential trade wars to his executive orders. Albert James is in Olympia with more on what state leaders are saying.
It has been, to put it mildly, a chaotic first few weeks of his administration.
On the economic front, the governor says the state...
Okay, stop right there for a second. This is the new narrative. Chaotic, chaotic, chaotic. Do you know why they're using that? The last Trump administration was chaotic. We liked a lot of stuff about it, but it was pretty chaotic. This one is running like a Swiss Army watch, and it's amazing. But the new narrative, just like they had weird for J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, it's going to be chaotic, 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 because they're trying to sow discontent. Now, mind you, all Donald Trump is doing is exposing waste in the government. You should be asking Bob Ferguson, and by the way, why did no media outlet in Seattle ask Bob Ferguson, why don't you want waste exposed? Why do you want Washington State to be a sanctuary state? Why don't you want to enforce federal law? Because our media here is bought and paid for by the politicians. Over $100,000 to the Seattle Times. Over $15,000 to The Stranger. Over $20,000 to the Seattle Gay News, whatever that is. Mike, do we get any money around here from the Washington State government? Yes? No? No, of course not. Right. That would be kind of nice. I mean, you know, I want a new Dodge Charger for my friends over at Renton, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. I want to go down there and buy a new car. They have the nice electric one on the... It's looking pretty cool. I like that. But yeah, we're not getting that kind of money. We're not rolling in the dough. Why? Exactly. Baby Yoda gets it. Why is your tax money being wasted on this stupidity? Because they're addicted to spending, but also they like buying off their friends. They like making sure that people are spreading their nonsense, not just around the country, but around the world. You thought we had problems with DEI here, but apparently we're doing it on an international level. You should be asking yourself, why are people getting upset about finding waste in government? That used to be the thing we could all agree on. Government's too big. There's lots of waste in government. Anybody who's complaining about this has something to lose from Doge doing what Doge is doing. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we come back, my friends, an Amazon driver was arrested here in Seattle for illegal immigration charges. We'll give you the details, but first, Todd Herman's Daily Thoughtcast right now on the Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card. Yeah, another reason, always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI, left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. I learned during the autonomous zone when Fox News was calling all the time for updates on what was going on during the Summer of Love. After one time I went away with my family to Leavenworth, and I didn't bring my gear with me, but then Fox News wanted me on for a hit, and I'm trying to figure out how to jury rig something off my laptop. It wasn't pretty. So I always bring my gear with me. So I go to Israel and I bring my gear with me. And good thing, too, because Como News want to talk to me about illegal immigration. Here's the story.
Family of a Venezuelan migrant are demanding his release from Guantanamo Bay. Migrants are being flown to Guantanamo Bay as part of President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. Como's Karina Vargas with the very latest.
Free Jose from Guantanamo Bay!
The family of Jose Medina Andrade said he was detained back in November before President Trump took office. The family claims he was sent to Guantanamo Bay this month without any notice and that they haven't been able to contact him since.
The Trump administration, that everyone that's being sent to Guantanamo Bay is highly, I think he used highly violent criminal.
Can we stop there for a second? He was detained before Trump came into office. How bad was he that the Biden administration detained this guy? Yeah, they kind of leave that little angle out, these protesters, don't they?
Or high threat migrant. And so there's assumptions that are being made about Jose that are not the truth.
The family spoke out saying Jose is not a high threat and that he fled Venezuela to get away from gangs that were threatening him.
It's just insinuations that are being made. However, we are seeing news articles. This isn't the only family that's saying, hey, that's not true about my family member.
Cool. So did he come here illegally or not? Because that's still a crime. Did he come here illegally or not? What are the insinuations? What are they accusing him of? Oh, they're accusing him of being a gang member? You know, there's plenty of gang members that have family members also. And you know what? If you are running from discrimination, if you're running from persecution, there are ways of coming to this country legally.
Who was sent there? Who's on that list?
President Trump has stated that the, quote, worst of the worst criminals will be held at the military facility, which are high-priority immigrants with criminal records. The family said Jose was detained for coming to the U.S. illegally, but say he is not a violent criminal.
The press release from this family is they don't mention the crime that he actually committed. And first of all, coming to this country illegally is a crime. That's the first thing. You don't get to come to this country.
Jose's family also claimed that he is being exposed to unjust treatment and has not been given sufficient food and has not been allowed to speak to family. Como News has reached out to ICE for confirmation. So far, they've not responded. In Seattle, Karina Vargas, Como News.
So they're accusing this guy of being a gang member. Is he a gang member? Is he not a gang member? This should be an easy thing to answer, but the family themselves is dancing around it. And they are admitting that he did come to this country illegally, which is a crime. You may not like it, but it is a crime. So we are talking about a person who is guilty. They said as much. See, this is the thing. You can come out with whatever press releases you want, but they don't stand up to scrutiny. Not at all. You know who else doesn't stand up to scrutiny is people like AOC. Tom Homan called her out on Newsmax just the other day.
Well, first of all, I think she's, I won't go after her on
Tom, please do. Say what's on your mind. It's a holiday.
Look, she's the dumbest congresswoman ever elected to the Congress, and she proves that every day. And look, bottom line is, I can't believe any member of Congress, Republican, Democrat, Independent, would want to educate criminal illegal aliens who are in the country illegally, been convicted of a violent crime, and have been ordered removed by an immigration judge after due process at great taxpayer expense. You got a congressman or congresswoman that does not want ICE to do the job that Congress has mandated them to do and funds them to do.
Exactly. Exactly right. For example, ICE enforcement and removal operations in Seattle last week arrested an illegal immigrant from China who was convicted of illicit drug manufacturing in the state of Washington. This guy, Jui Hu, of 42 of China, was taken into custody on February 1st in Seattle. He was captured in a residential neighborhood while delivering packages for Amazon. And if you look at the video, the dude is wearing the Amazon vest. Now, as I understand it, a lot of Amazon delivery drivers are third party. So it may not be Amazon that's hiring illegal immigrants, but the companies they're hiring might be hiring the illegal immigrants. And then you got a problem. Here's another problem. Is this guy delivering drugs along his route for Amazon? Is he putting them in the boxes the way that Brooks would put the stuff that Red would get for the people in the prison, like a rock hammer for Andy Dufresne? Put them right in the books right there in Shawshank Prison. Is that what's going on with the Amazon packages? ICE ERO Seattle also posted a video of the deportation flights that are going on from our area. My friends, the people that they keep deporting from our area are the ones who have charges or convictions for drug dealing, drug manufacturing, rape, child rape, sexual assault, murder. They found that Venezuelan hitman last week, where he's literally a hitman wanted on murder charges in Venezuela. How bad do you have to be that Venezuela even bother charging you? So, my friends, the question is always, excuse me one second, dry throat from being on the plane so much. The question is always, what did these guys actually do? And that family you listened to before in that Como News report, they don't want to even say what he's being accused of because odds are it's true. There are plenty of gang members who have family members. There's plenty of criminals who have family members. So this is something they don't even want to talk about. However, what was nice today was when I was at the airports, and I've been at multiple airports in multiple places. You know what's missing now? I didn't see this at LAX, and I've seen this stuff before, where they have the lines at TSA just for the illegal immigrants. Those are gone now. So nature is healing. Things are turning around. They really are. But I question, you got people like Bob Ferguson, you got people like Nick Brown, who are saying, well, they're going to take away our federal funding because we're a sanctuary city. We're a sanctuary state. Well, yeah. Why don't you want to enforce the law? When Nick Brown the other day said about Donald Trump, do your damn job or follow the damn law or something like that, you're literally complaining about losing federal funding because you're not enforcing the law. That goes back to the same thing we say all the time. When you point at somebody, a whole bunch of fingers are pointing back at you. They're literally accusing him of the things they are refusing to do. They are refusing to enforce the law. In fact, has Nick Brown or Bob Ferguson done anything that benefited any Washingtonians since they got into office? Anything? I did see that Bob Ferguson backtracked on that stupidity where his Teams meetings and online meetings were automatically deleting their records. You can't do that. That is illegal. So now he's trying to say, oh, we're going to do a whole study, 6 months evaluation. You mean 6 months for us to forget about this? And then you can flip the switch back on to automatically deleting things? Yeah. I remember when Bob Ferguson said he was going to be the most transparent guy. And I said, then why does every public disclosure request I get back from you, why is every single one redacted? Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we come back, my friends, how Tom Hanks ruined the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder that we are streaming video of the show every single weekday. So if you want to see this beautiful face and this receding hairline, check us out on Rumble, Facebook, X, of course, and sometimes on YouTube when they haven't banned us that day. So over the weekend, Saturday Night Live celebrated its 50th anniversary. And I love the anniversary shows every decade because it always brings back the old cast members, some of the best guest stars, some of the old skits, but updated with newer jokes. I always love those things. I really do. They're always great. And I have to say, this one was great. In fact, this is the best one they ever did because they had two shows. They did the one with all the sketches and all the hosts and everything, and I thought it was great. I loved all the clips. I want to watch the whole thing all the way through, not just the clips. But they also did something the night before, which was celebrating the music of Saturday Night Live, which was also really great. It was fantastic. And I've been one of the people complaining the most about Saturday Night Live recently. That's not funny. So anyway, I thought it was really great. It was marred by a political joke that didn't land. As we talk about on the show all the time, if you're going to be racist or you're going to be off color, you're going to insult somebody politically, it better be funny. Otherwise, it's going to land with a thud and you're going to get criticized for it. So they brought back Black Jeopardy. Now, the first time they did Black Jeopardy was when Tom Hanks was hosting, and they were trying to show that more Southern-type white people who vote for Trump are very similar to black people. Take whatever racial jokes you want from that. Go ahead and watch the first one. But the second one, the problem they had here is they tried to say that everybody who wears a MAGA hat, which Tom Hanks is wearing in this thing, trying to be some kind of Southern guy, is a racist and doesn't even want to shake hands with black people. Here's the clip.
Oh, well, thank you. Hey, now speaking of church, can I say something? If more folks went to church, we wouldn't be in this mess we're in now.
You know what? I agree with you, Doug. I'd like to shake your hand, sir. Here we go.
No,
oh, no. Oh, no, it's just a handshake. Yeah, it's just a handshake. Yeah, all right. You're welcome at Black Jeopardy anytime.
All right. Well, thank you, my brother. Maybe I'll start a show for you to...
Now, here's the thing. You notice you barely heard any laughter on that? That thing landed like a brick. That thing went over like a Led Zeppelin, a lead balloon. That thing was not good at all. Conversely, when I was in Israel, got to hang out with my friend Ari Leifert. Ari Leifert runs Israel Inside Tours. If you're going to Israel, people ask me all the time how they can help Israel. Go spend your tourist money there. Go there. It's perfectly safe. I just got back. So my buddy, Ari, runs Israel Inside Tours, does a great job. And we had just finished touring in Shiloh. For those of you who are Bible people, Shiloh is where the tabernacle was in Israel before they built the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. So it was in Shiloh for 369 years. We went to the site. After we went to the site, we went to lunch with Aryeh at this nearby place, which had some really great pizza, by the way. While we're there, my mother-in-law knows that Aryeh does a great impression of Donald Trump. In fact, we had him call the show one time pretending to be Donald Trump, not the real Trump interview. No. But he called the show one time. It was pretty entertaining. So we did a fake interview at the restaurant. You will hear my family giggling in the background because Aryeh is quite funny. Let me know what you think of it.
Yes. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show, live from the Jewish state of Israel. And I'm very blessed today to be interviewing President Donald Trump in his first interview since coming to Israel in his second term. Mr. President, thanks for being with us today.
An absolute pleasure to be here, Ari. I really like you. I know that you've supported me a very, very long time. You and your beautiful, beautiful wife, Jessica. Hugs and kisses to you. You're a beautiful lady, not nearly as beautiful as Melania. She really is absolutely fantastic, beautiful. But it's great to be here in Israel, in the Jewish state, the independent Jewish state. I'm not sure all of you know, I moved the embassy to make a beautiful, beautiful building. Got it built cheaper than anyone's ever seen before, that I can tell you.
So, Mr. President, what do you think is the greatest accomplishment that you have in front of you right now? What are you here to see?
Whatever I'm going to do tomorrow is going to be my greatest accomplishment. I've done lots of great things. I built Trump University. No, that wasn't good? No, sorry, not Trump University. I also made Trump steaks. Also, made lots of great things. I got the Plaza Hotel. I got the cameo in Home Alone. Home Alone 2.
Sure, Kevin in the Lobby.
Fantastic film, right? But I would say anything, whatever I'm going to do next, that's going to probably be my biggest accomplishment.
Now, Mr. President, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was here to talk.
Little Marco.
Little Marco.
I still call him that. It's I love him. I only said that because it was in the campaign. I didn't believe it then. I don't believe it now, but I needed to knock him down, sort of make him realize he's a small guy. Little Marco.
So, Mr. President, he was just in Israel talking about counterterrorism. So what do you think?
Horrible people, terrorists, right? No, you mentioned it. Really, don't interrupt me, all right? You're not fake news. I'm not going to say anything. You don't interrupt. Your questions are very, very fair. Terrorists, really horrible people. And I said for last week, they needed to release all of the hostages, all of them, not a few here, a few there, or else all hell was going to break loose. And Bibi, I love him, but he didn't make me look very good because he only accepted a few. We've got to get all of them, or else really all hell is going to break loose.
So, Mr. President, what is your plan for the Gaza Strip?
I like to call it Gazalago. Gazalago. It's going to be really a tremendous place. It's going to be for all the people of the region, except for the Palestinians. They've had lots of opportunity. They really blew it. Very, very big as you can blow it. It's going to be for the people of the region. Maybe the Jordanians will see about King Abdullah. I like him. I also like the son, the crown prince. Said they were going to take 2,000 Palestinian kids. I like that. Really impressive. And then we've got the Egyptian guy, the general, the Sisi. He's not really a sissy, that's his name. What can I do? That's his name, Sisi. General Sisi. Gonna get them involved, but it really is gonna be a great place. We're gonna have, really, I would call it the Riviera. I don't even know what that is. My speechwriter said, call it the Riviera of the men. That sounds good, we'll call it that.
Mr. President, thank you so much for your time today. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
See, we all support Donald Trump, and we can still laugh at him at the same time, people. When they do Donald Trump on Saturday Night Live, why is it not funny? It's just not, because they're trying to be mean, not funny. That's the issue, all right? They're not trying to be. It's back when Saturday Night Live was doing the 1990s with Ross Perot and George Bush and Bill Clinton. Everything was on the table. Nothing was off limits. And I think that's really something Saturday Night Live is missing. And it's clear that the writers of today's skits don't really get that, because what was a great episode was marred by the stupid Tom Hanks joke that just didn't land. And he gave fodder to people like me who haven't shut up about it since Saturday night. Only good news. Your good news giveaway, your good news headlines, your chance to win a $50 gift card, plus so much more as we wrap up the show. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And before we get to our good news giveaway and our good news headlines, just want to say how great it is to be back here in the U.S. of A. and behind this microphone. While it's nice to have some time off, I always miss the show when I am not on air. So thanks to Mike and thanks to Zach and Mr. KVI himself, everybody who helped keep the show together while I wasn't here. So thank you all very much for all that effort. Really do appreciate it.
Well, conversely, Ari, I would like to say as much as I enjoyed my stint filling in with young Zach and Mr. KVI and even John Carlson for a stint, glad you're back, buddy. So now I can just focus on pressing buttons and answering phones and doing all that, because I honestly don't know how you sustain it, because like all 3 days, 3.5 with Friday, all the days I filled in, I was absolutely gassed at the end of the day. I just like sat in my chair at my desk and just like became like jello for a few. It's just because, yeah, you just leave it all out on the field every single day. I don't know how you do it.
Well, that's
man.
why my wife says I am way calmer at home these days ever since I got this gig.
Yeah, because you got no more juice.
Right,
because
I'm
you get
yelling
home.
my head off all day in here. Anyway, some good news happened this weekend. So first of all, the first thing was Donald Trump went to the Daytona 500. And it was actually pretty awesome seeing the Beast. Okay, so in 2020, when he was running for re-election, he also went to the Daytona 500. And the Beast did like a lap or two, cool. But this time they go, no. Let's make it the pace car, which was pretty awesome. Whether you like it, whether you hate him. Having that thing out there as a pace car was awesome, the presidential limo. Plus, really cute family moment, as we say, wholesome content is wholesome. His granddaughter's in the car with him, looking out the window and waving to people as it's going by. He's talking to the drivers. It was great. As they're doing the national anthem, you have the flyover, and there's the applause for him, and it was great. It was Americana. America's back, baby. It was awesome.
One of the things we talked about last week when Elon Musk and Donald Trump had their joint presser in the Oval Office and Lil X was running around by the Resolute desk and whatnot, normalize having kids in government.
Yes.
Let's show families, family values. This is what we voted for.
Exactly.
You love to see it.
Give the people what they want. This is normalcy, the revenge of the normies. That's
There
what
it
was.
is.
Yeah.
Well, and with President Trump, you see everybody's got their leftist friends on Facebook or Twitter saying like, oh, well, how much did we pay to send Trump to Daytona? How much did we spend to send Trump to the Super Bowl? He's a man of the people.
Yes.
He's going to the Super Bowl. He's going to the Daytona 500, and we love him for it.
But here's something else. How much do we pay so that Joe Biden could spend 40% of his presidency at a beach house in Delaware? So can we stop with that nonsense? Every president goes places, and we're not going to keep him locked up in the White House, even though we kind of keep him locked up in the White House. Anyway, we also got this story here about these Canadian hockey fans that were booing the Star-Spangled Banner, our U.S. national anthem, at the Bell Center on Saturday night. And then the U.S. went and kicked the crap out of them. Now, I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but I got to say, after watching this game where 3 fights broke out in the opening 9 seconds of this game between USA and Canada, I love this sport. I mean, I didn't know I was getting boxing with it, too. But then somebody, I think it was Barstool Sports, put together a montage of the American team just checking the Canadians all over the place. It was great. It was like, you boo our anthem, we're going to show you who's boss, and the U.S. won 3-1. Now, as I understand it, they're going to be playing again in Boston coming up soon. I heard they're actually going to be playing again because of the way the bracket's working out in this whole thing. So there might be a rematch sooner than we expected, and the question is, what's going to happen in that one? I'm really excited for this. I am really excited for this.
Yeah, no, that was a fun as heck game to watch. Accidentally, totally. My wife and I were on the way back from the movies. We saw the new Captain America movie. We'll talk about that on Monday. But we stopped by Stimpy's on our way our way home. Ironically enough, because we wanted to try out all other things on the menu, and we know it's a good sports bar. And suddenly a hockey game breaks out while we're sitting there having our dinner. And yeah, like you said, Ari, 3 fights in 9 seconds, to the point where watching it in real time, it was hard to differentiate the replays from the other fight. I'm like, oh, that's a different guy. That's a different guy. I mean, like at one point, I think it was the second one where like the American they were getting ready to face off. Dude just like threw off his gloves like immediately. Nothing had even happened yet.
No.
It's like he was already calling his shot. It's like we're just gonna go, and the whole game was chippy like that. It was fun to watch, and it was cool to watch in like a sports bar on a Saturday night with a bunch of like-minded folks.
Oh, sure.
So anyway, go check out Stimpy's. Always a great time.
Yes.
Some folks recognized me too. They were like, "Were you with the radio?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yes, I was with the radio.
Yeah,
I
it
missed
wasn't
the
like,
radio.
it's like, "Do you know who I am?" No, it was like the bartender. She was really nice, but a little timid. She's like, I think I know you.
That's funny.
It was one of those kinds of things.
I like that. Yes, definitely check out our friends at Stimpy's. Before I forget, your chance to win fantabulous prizes. Today we're giving away $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card, a copy of 7 Steps to a Successful Retirement by Brian Evans of Madrona Financial, and 2 Run of Engagement passes to Last Breath, which is in theaters beginning on February 28th. All you have to do in order to win these fantabulous prizes is be caller number 10 at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Caller number 10 will win a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card, a copy of 7 Steps to Successful Retirement by Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs, and 2 Run of Engagement passes to Last Breath. Phone lines are open now. Give Mike a call for your chance to win at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Well, my friends, that's going to do it for us today, but fear not, we'll be back tomorrow with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and, of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.